Dave Chappelle, the guy who pretty much built a career on pushing the limits of comedy, is hugging Bowen Yang, full on hugging him on the Saturday Night Live stage. Now, you might be thinking, so, what's the big deal? But think back to last year's SNL Good Nights.
Yeah.
And the picture's completely different. Yang standing way back, almost as if he's trying to avoid Chappelle. What's going on there?
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to remember all the controversy that Chappelle sparked after the closer, right? Some people, they definitely thought that Yang was trying to make a statement by, keeping that distance, especially with all the criticism over those jokes about the transgender community.
Yeah.
So to see him hugging this year, it really makes you wonder, what's changed,
Totally. And here's another thing that I noticed. They didn't even appear in any sketches together during the whole episode. Just that hug at the very end, was that on purpose? Or was that just, how SNL works sometimes?
Yeah, well, you actually talked about that awkward 2024 photo, in a Variety interview.
Okay.
And he said, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, that, where he stood during the Good Nights had nothing to do with Chappelle, personally.
Okay.
Yeah, it was more about everyone else's reactions to the whole situation.
Hold up. So he's saying it wasn't about, his own feelings towards Chappelle.
Yeah.
It was about how other people were reacting.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And Yang even went on to say that he was confused by the whole thing, especially, how others were interpreting it.
It's almost like we've got these two totally opposite narratives kind of colliding here.
Yeah.
You've got Chappelle, this comedian who's built his entire reputation on controversy, on being provocative.
Yeah.
And now he's saying, he wants to turn over a new leaf.
Yeah.
And then you've got Yang, whose awkwardness comes not from his own views, but from this whirlwind of opinions that are just swirling around Chappelle.
Right. And to understand those reactions, I mean, we got to remember, the impact of Chappelle's controversies, right? The closers sparked a huge backlash from LGBTQ plus advocacy groups.
Right.
And even led to a walkout by some Netflix employees.
And let's not forget about his 2022 SNL monologue either.
Right.
The Anti-Defamation League was not happy about that one.
No, they were not.
They felt that some of his jokes sort of veered into anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
Which, just added fuel to the fire.
For sure.
Even in this latest monologue, Chappelle didn't shy away from touchy subjects. He made this joke about the recent Los Angeles wildfires.
Yeah.
Suggesting that maybe God hates sodomites because of all the destruction.
Right.
That's classic Chappelle, though.
It is.
Using humor to kind of address this really charged topic. He plays with your expectations, right?
Absolutely.
And he's definitely not afraid to push boundaries, at all.
No, he's not afraid to push boundaries.
But then, right after that, he immediately points out that West Hollywood, which is, predominantly LGBTQ plus shout, was spared from the fires. His punchline. How can you burn what's already flaming?
Oh. He's layering that irony and wordplay, which, it is part of his signature style.
Yeah.
But, I mean, let's be real, right? This kind of humor, it's like walking a tightrope, It can be incredibly funny, but it can also be deeply offensive to some people and even, reinforce some pretty harmful stereotypes.
It feels like we're, really wading into some deep waters here,
Yeah.
How do you even start to, separate the art from the artist, especially when the humor hits so close to home for so many people?
That's the big question, isn't it? And it's something we're all kind of grappling with, right? As audiences, it's not just about Chappelle or Yang. It's about how we all engage with comedy that pushes those boundaries and tackles sensitive topics. Think about it. How do you personally approach comedy that makes you laugh but also makes you cringe a little bit?
Yeah, it's definitely a balancing act. I often find myself thinking, okay, this is funny, but is it okay that I'm laughing right now? It's trying to figure out where the line is.
Right.
And honestly, sometimes it feels like that line just keeps moving.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
The line is constantly shifting as social norms evolve.
Right.
And as our understanding of different perspectives deepens.
Right.
And that's where context becomes so crucial. We can't just isolate a single joke or a moment without considering the larger picture, you
Yeah.
know? The comedian's entire body of work, their intent and, the potential impact, both positive and negative.
So with Chappelle, are you saying we need to look like beyond just the closer
Yeah.
and consider, his entire career, like how his material has evolved
Yeah.
and how he fits into the broader conversation about representation and responsibility in comedy?
Yeah, precisely. And it's not about like canceling anyone,
Yeah.
or arriving at some definitive judgment.
Right.
It's about engaging in this nuanced dialogue,
Yeah.
recognizing that there are multiple perspectives at play and that things aren't always so black and white,
Which is what this whole deep dive is all about, right?
Yes.
We're taking this like seemingly simple image,
Yeah.
this hug on SNL,
Yeah.
and we're using it as like a lens to explore all these like really complex issues.
Exactly. And remember Yang himself has talked about navigating expectations and stereotypes as an Asian American comedian. His very presence on SNL as the first openly gay Asian American cast member like adds another layer of complexity to his interaction with Chappelle,
Right.
who has, also faced criticism for jokes about Asian American.
It's like they each bring their own unique experiences and perspectives to the table, right?
Absolutely.
And those experiences like intersect in this really, really fascinating way.
Yeah.
It reminds us that these conversations about representation and identity,
Yeah.
they're multifaceted.
Yeah.
What might be offensive to one group might not land the same way with another.
Absolutely, and it highlights the responsibility we have as audience members to be aware of those nuances, right? And to
Right.
engage in these conversations with empathy and respect,
Yeah.
recognizing that humor can be this really powerful tool, but it can also, it can also be a weapon.
Yeah.
It's about finding that balance between appreciating the art of comedy while also being critical of its potential impact. Yeah.
So bringing this back to the bigger picture, where do you see comedy going? Is this tension between pushing boundaries
Yeah.
and being mindful of potential harm? Like, is this something that's going to keep growing?
I think it's a conversation that's only gonna intensify,
Okay.
On the one hand, there's this desire for freedom of expression, right? For comedians to push the envelope without self-censorship.
Right.
On the other hand, there's this growing awareness of power dynamics.
Yeah.
And the need for greater inclusivity and sensitivity. It's
Yeah.
like we're at this crossroads,
Hmm.
trying to figure out how to navigate both of those impulses.
I get that, but like, if everyone is walking on eggshells all the time,
Yeah.
doesn't that like stifle creativity? I mean,
Yeah.
isn't like part of the point of comedy
Right.
to challenge norms and make us think differently?
Yeah, that's where critical thinking comes in. It's not about blindly accepting or rejecting everything we hear.
Right.
It's about engaging with the material,
Right.
questioning our own assumptions,
Yeah.
and being open to different perspectives. Sometimes that might mean sitting with discomfort,
Yeah.
recognizing that humor can be both insightful and problematic.
So instead of trying to like shut down conversations,
Right.
or censor comedians,
Yeah.
we should be leaning into these like complexities,
Yeah.
and having more nuanced discussions about the role of comedy in our society.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of this deep dive.
Yeah.
We're not just passively consuming information, we're actively processing it and formulating our own opinions, right?
Right.
It's about recognizing that humor is subjective,
Yeah.
that it can be a source of both unity and division.
It's amazing to me that this whole conversation
Yeah.
was sparked by just this simple gesture,
Right.
a hug between two comedians.
Yeah.
But as we've like dug deeper,
Right.
we've uncovered so much more than just, a friendly embrace.
It's a powerful reminder that even the smallest interactions can carry like a lot of weight,
Yeah.
especially in today's world where everything is amplified and scrutinized.
Right.
That hug between Chappelle and Yang,
Yeah.
it's like this microcosm of the larger cultural conversations that we're having about comedy and accountability,
Yeah.
and how we navigate the complexities of art.
We started with a hug, this like seemingly simple gesture of warmth between Dave Chappelle and Bowen Yang on that SNL stage. And from there, it's like we've kind of tumbled down this rabbit hole of past controversies and shifting perspectives on comedy and the ongoing struggle to kind of reconcile art with accountability.
Yeah, and now this is where things get like really interesting for you.
Okay.
Because this deep dive isn't just about analyzing Chappelle or Yang, it's about prompting some introspection. So how do you feel about that hug now? Like, does it shift your perception of their relationship, or maybe even Chappelle's past actions?
It's like that hug kind of throws a wrench into the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Does it make you more willing to overlook the problematic parts of his comedy?
Right.
Or does it make you kind of wonder about Yang's position?
Right.
Like is he somehow, condoning those past jokes?
Yeah, I mean, there's no easy answer here,
Right.
We've given you the information, we've given you the context, the different viewpoints that are swirling around this whole situation. But ultimately, it's up to each of us,
Yeah.
to grapple with these questions and decide, like, what do we make of all this? Can you personally separate the art from the artist? Can you, like, laugh at a joke while still condemning the the harmful ideas that it might perpetuate? Like,
Right.
these are the tensions that we're all, kind of navigating as audiences these days.
And there's no like right or wrong answer, is there?
Not really, no. I mean, it's about having these conversations, being open to different perspectives, and acknowledging that comedy can be this powerful force, for better or for worse.
This deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about.
Yeah.
It's amazing how this fleeting moment on SNL, just a simple hug,
Yeah.
can spark such like a rich and nuanced conversation.
And maybe that's the biggest takeaway for you, right? It's a reminder that even seemingly insignificant gestures can hold like immense weight, especially in today's media landscape.
Right.
And as consumers of art and comedy, we have a responsibility to engage with these complexities, to think critically, and to continue these conversations with empathy and respect.
So the next time you find yourself laughing at a joke that kind of pushes the boundaries,
Right.
maybe think about that hug between Chappelle and Yang. Think about the layers of meaning that it holds, the questions that it raises, and the ongoing tension between our desire to be entertained and our responsibility to be mindful.
Right.
This deep dive might be over, but the conversation continues.